The meeting to order for March 9th, 2023. We do have a quorum. Like the four that are here are Sheriff Samsel, Moser, myself, and I believe that Commissioner Higgins is online, correct?
Commissioner Higgins is online, yes, sir.
All right, so let's open up with public comments. Over there and see.
Yes.
Recording is on.
Sure. My name is Ken Collins-Melzer. I'm with the group that's working to advocate for outdoor recreation at a correctional facility. Going up, we're disappointed to see that outdoor rec movement to create such happening. We volunteer to be on it, the committee, and so thank you.
Anybody else? Anybody online? All right. From the committee standpoint, obviously, DA Cantorna. Heard anything from him?
Not recently, but we are still just moving forward on coordinating schedules. Glenn and I have gone back and forth a little bit on some scheduling and some other nuance to it, but I'm just waiting to hear from DA Cantorna on his feedback and stuff. So,
do we have, obviously I came in January, but do we have kind of this, I think this discussion started in late fall. Do we have points on this as far as exactly what, I know we have outdoor rec is like a general point. I mean, is there points that are submitted as far as what the ultimate goal is and what we're willing to work with? I'm just from my standpoint as far as being able to work with it.
Sure. Well, I would say our ultimate goal is that this facility would be required to follow the law as well as other facilities, which is that every prisoner gets 2 hours outdoor recreation, outdoor, in the outdoors is actually what the law says. Can't believe that the state permits facilities such as ours to be permitted, where there is no outdoor rec. So that's the ultimate goal. But we're flexible. We understand the limitations of this play. Well, from our point of view, we see the limitations. We don't think they're as great as maybe staff does, or we don't know what lengths you're willing to go. I mean, we don't think many. We can see that an incremental approach is a good way to start. Letting those who have some assurance of get outside. We understand that it's hard to get unsentenced people outside, but we believe the law says that even they should be able to be outside. And even those under discipline are supposed to get 1 hour, 5 days a week outside. We understand that those would be hard to do, but we're not advocating that you spend $1 million on a huge fenced-in facility with towers, but we can't believe that there aren't some means that you could do now with 15 people with an officer on a stroller just outside playing games and being watched. But we don't have the perspective that you all have from security and so forth. So we feel it's not our job to come up with the solutions, because you'll have to have solutions that work for you for the correctional facility. But our job is to help you keep moving to find those solutions and implement them. And we're willing to advocate in the state or elsewhere for funds, or with the commissioner, whoever would provide the funds. So we just want to see something happen.
I appreciate that. Thank you. All right, moving on to the approval of the minutes. We have our minutes from February 9th, 2023. Do them. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
Second.
All right, we have a first and second, and a vote. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed? Then the minutes from February 9th, 2023 are approved, and we'll move on now to facility reports.
Good morning, everyone.
More.
Center County population, again, a snapshot taking February 28th, 2023. We had a total of 196 incarcerated at that point. 130 males, or 130 was the Center County population, 22 females, 108 males. County sentence, was 35. Not sentenced was 82. Those individuals with a state sentence were 13. Lieutenant County population as of that date was a total of 66, 13 females and 53 males. 41 of those had a county sentence, 22 were not sentenced, and 3 with a state sentence. Focusing on our Center County unsentenced inmates on that date, in on new charges, still waiting, going through the court process, is 41. In on probation and parole violations were 29. Probation and parole violation with new charges were 12, again for a total of 82. That just shows you the graph for the month, where we started out in the beginning. We started with 126 Center County inmates, finished with 130, started with 66 out of county inmates, and we actually finished with 65. Thought we would do a spotlight on work release. That's a big focus in our attempts to get individuals out to work. I thought we'd discuss the eligibility criteria. You must be a sentenced inmate either in Huntington County or a Center County returning citizen, or out of county facility transfers if an agreement to participate in a work release and payment of fees. Must be made eligible by the courts. If in the initial sentencing petition they're not made eligible, we can ask the courts to add that. Also, the individual's attorneys can advocate for that as well. Must be sentenced on all charges. Cannot have any active detainers. This excludes inmates with current summary offenses or summary detainers for costs and fines. You cannot have any warrants or open charges. Open charges with posted bail can be considered and approved by the warden or his designee. Must have a satisfactory prison adjustment. Must be misconduct free for at least 30 days. Must be medically approved to work and demonstrate a stable mental health status. The returning citizens must understand and sign the work release, community reentry, and education program agreement prior to starting the work release program. They may be prohibited from participation if they have any of the following: sex offenses. Those will be reviewed on a case-by-case basis if deemed eligible by the courts. Cannot have any escape-related behaviors or conviction within the last 10 years. Not have current felony assault-related convictions. Misdemeanor assault-related convictions will be on a case-by-case basis. Current offenses involving domestic violence will also be reviewed on a case-by-case basis. Other crimes or criteria deemed inappropriate by the warden that shows that the inmate poses a risk to community safety or poses a risk to the orderly management of the facility will also possibly disqualify you.
The requirement that they be sentenced, does that include in-house work?
No, that's just to go outside to work.
Okay.
And 30 days, so can those 30 days be partly served as an unsentenced person?
No, the 30 days you must be misconduct free for 30 days. I mean,
Right.
You can't get a misconduct within the facility.
Right. And can those days be accrued before conviction?
Yes, it's just 30 days flat. So if you come in as an unsentenced person and you're here for 10 months or you're here for 2 days, it doesn't matter. You don't have to be here for 30 days. Even if you're only here 2 days, if you're now eligible, you're 30 days misconduct free. You've never had a misconduct in those 2 days. So it's just 30 days in the aggregate. You don't have to actually be physically present in the jail for 30 days prior to going out.
All right. So a sentenced person, they could get out the first week after their sentence.
Yes, after they do their quarantine.
Okay.
If it's, for example, if an individual, even if they weren't incarcerated here, they were released on bail pending the outcome of their court proceedings. Once the courts sentence them, some of them get a report to jail date and time, and they come on their own. Once they do their quarantine for 5 days and they're vaccinated, they can go out to work on day 6.
And to build on it real quick from a course perspective, we do sentencing. A lot of times we'll do a delayed report date in order for the defendant to basically coordinate with his employer so they can have a quick turnaround and get out. So instead of saying, hey, today's your second day, you're going in, we give like a 3-week report date, they work out what they need to with their employer so they can get out and get to work as soon as possible so they're ready to go. So there's some coordination from the courts on the sentencing end with the prison as well as the person who's coming in. Corrections.
Continuing on with this, the individual must be paid in a manner of payroll nature and a biweekly paycheck that follows all federal and state employment guidelines. Must maintain employment and turn in paycheck and pay stub on time. They cannot hold it for a week or two before they turn it in. They must follow the set schedule by the employer. This is subject to change with timely notification to the reentry specialist or the facility. Sometimes employers will request the individual work overtime. They know if it's in the evening or after hours. They call in, talk to the lieutenant. Unless specific direction has been given to the lieutenant to deny that request, they approve the individual to work overtime, and they follow up with an email to Vanessa Billup, the specialist. They must be covered under workers' compensation and show proof of valid insurance from the employer. If an inmate is self-employed, they must provide a tax employer identification number. They must have at least $1 million umbrella health insurance policy with a deductible of at least $250. Provide 3 years of previous income tax forms or financial records as documentation for consideration to consider with their self-employment. They must be able to secure a dependable ride to and from work plus a standby in case of emergency. They must use the most direct route to and from employment. And they must remain within 60 miles driving distance of the Center County Correctional Facility. Work release inmates are not permitted to conduct any personal business while out on work release. They are not permitted to make or receive phone calls or use any type of cell phone unless specified by their employment duties as assigned and verified by their employer. They are not allowed to access social media or receive visits from anyone. They're not have a balance of work release program for failure to pay fines and costs set by the administration. They're not permitted to work more than 12 hours per shift. Again, the overtime, if need, will be approved by the reentry specialist or the on-duty shift commander. They're not permitted to work 7 days in a row. They're not permitted to be the first employees of a business or the first payroll employee of the business. They are not permitted to be a 1099 employee. That means independent contractor. Again, the sentencing order must state that they're eligible for work release. If not specified, the courts may be petitioned to add that eligibility. Currently, they must have a fully vaccinated status for COVID to be off grounds. The reentry specialist reviews all charges, their sentencing dates, domestic cases, PFAs, and other charges. Megan's Law offenses, detainers, or any active cases for the individual prior to signing off. We review the criminal history for the 3-year period prior. We review their institutional behavior, their history while incarcerated here, misconducts or informal resolutions. We check to see if they are court ordered to complete any programming such as Compass, Crossroads, DUI, or drug court. We check with medical to ensure they are medically cleared for the job that they are trying to maintain or obtain. And the record specialist and Ms. Murphy checks for any outstanding balances that they owe to the facility. They are subject to submit a clean drug test prior to going outside, and then they are random drug screened thereafter. And the facility monitors all inmate communications for the safety and security of everyone.
A couple of slides earlier, so does the prison get their paychecks?
We get a percentage of it for fees, and then percentage of it goes to any outstanding fees they might have for fines and cost of probation.
And then they get to keep the remainder?
Yes.
30.
Once Ms. Billup qualifies, everybody to all the criteria we talked about, she sends a letter to the employer with all the rules. The employer then supplies workers' compensation policy, supervisor's contact information, along with a regularly work schedule. The reentry specialist verifies all the information is valid. She again meets with the inmate. The inmate signs all the proper paperwork for the community reentry and work release program rules. Transportation, I'll just hit on this quickly. Some individuals are permitted to drive their own vehicle, depending on their charges. Obviously, if their license is suspended, we don't let them drive their vehicle, things of those nature, but they must have a valid driver's license, must have a valid vehicle registration, valid vehicle insurance, not pending any license suspension for any reason. The nature of charges sometimes limits their ability to drive to work. Most inmates secure private transportation. Those individuals also must provide a valid license, registration, and insurance to the facility since they are transporting an individual. We also use the CATA-GO program, and that just shows how much it costs for the CATA-GO. CATA program has been hit and miss with us because all their schedule changes. So most individuals use private transportation. These are just some of the employers that we work with that have had individuals working for them. Again, I will give credit to Ms. Billet for making contact with a lot of people. It has expanded the number of companies that are willing to work with us tremendously compared to what it used to be. She reaches out to businesses often, new businesses in the area. Some are willing to work with individuals. Some prefer not to talk to them. We've even had companies come here to interview inmates. Walmart has come here on site and they've done an in-person interview with the individual. So,
Have we actually had an inmate at each of these businesses?
at some point, yes. Yeah. Yep. May have been there. And some of those individuals have then continued on working for these companies after their release. So, the monthly February numbers total for the month.
Excuse me, I had a question.
Sure.
I'm confused by the amount of medical coverage a person must have in order to be eligible to go out.
We do
Did
this.
you say $1 million?
Connie?
Go ahead.
All right. We scroll back to it.
So just moving forward, I got to keep the meeting moving. If you have questions, obviously, write them down, and for Glenn, will be happy to answer them after. But
All right, I can wait. I can
That's okay.
contact them directly.
I don't know if Glenn has a quick answer for you or not,
Yeah.
but we're happy to answer questions this week.
Yeah, the quick answer is we just want to make sure the employer has insurance at their business for their employees. Not necessarily health insurance, but like accident insurance, things like that if the individual will get hurt on their grounds. But if you email me, I'll gladly answer any of your questions, Connie.
Okay, thanks.
For the month of February, total numbers, we had a total of 11 individuals on work release. We had a total of 7 throughout the month that worked at Centerpiece. County maintenance did not have anybody out for the month. On facility grounds, we had a total of 7. We added the hours worked. Outside workers for Centerpiece come out to 558 hours for the month. Workers inside the facility totaled a total of 7,002 hours. February 28th, the snapshot of our 35 sentenced individuals. We had 18 who were sentenced and not vaccinated, and 17 who were sentenced and vaccinated. Criteria for breakdown, again, as of February 28th, out of the 17 who were vaccinated and eligible to go to work on the snapshot of this day, 3 were assigned at Centerpiece, 7 were employed at various employers, 1 we denied leaving the facility for security concerns, 2 had detainers, which made them ineligible to go outside, 1 was removed from the work release program due to violating the stipulations while at work, and 3 were in the review process for final approval at that date. So out of the 17, we had 10 individuals on that date out working outside the facility. Of the unvaccinated, a total of 18 individuals. If they were vaccinated, 6 of them would have been eligible for work release. There were 6 who we talked to who said they were not interested in getting a job either inside or outside the facility. 3 of those had detainers. We had 1 on disciplinary status, and 2 were not eligible by the courts.
Real quick one.
Yes, sir.
So requiring to have vaccinations to go outside.
Yes.
I thought we had a discussion about,
Yeah, it's gonna be under new business.
and I didn't look ahead.
To wrap this all up, I wanted to introduce you, for those who don't know, this is Miss Vanessa Billett. She started her career with the correctional facility in 2009 as a correction officer. She remained and excelled in that position until November of 2021, when she became the reentry specialist / work release coordinator. Vanessa takes great pride in her work and is always willing to accept any challenges presented to her. Vanessa is also an instructor for various courses for our training academy for staff. So,
From the course perspective, she does an excellent.
yes, we're very, very pleased with her. She does a great job.
Yes.
She's amazing.
Yeah.
When I come in to teach class, the TV's there, the computer's there, the lights are on, the chairs are set up. Every time I call or email, yeah, she's awesome. We should give her a raise. She really, really is
She cares and she's passionate.
extraordinary.
Does. One that definitely able to make the switch from what we call security to treatment services. She's great. Moving on to our mental health population.
And before we jump in that real just quick, I think the only question I had was, obviously I worked on the work groups back in the day when I was here, but the summary, if you have a summary detainer that you can't get out, is that?
Yeah, if it was just a summary detainer, we'd probably sign off.
Yeah,
Like that.
and would it make more sense to maybe move that to like not an absolute denial, but like a consideration?
Yeah, summary.
Because either someone's got like careless driving and
Yeah.
have some fines, I'd rather have them out working and.
Yeah.
Yeah, what Vanessa does with the summary detainers is just contact the magistrate involved, because
Yeah.
there is on occasion a magistrate who goes, absolutely not, they're a flight risk, if you let them out, I'm never gonna, like, I've been through this whole, but mostly we just call the magistrate and they go, yeah, we're good, here's the
How
plan.
about you call the court of common pleas?
You'll make it happen. All right, you
Yeah,
can
so
do
you
that.
call
Yeah, I'm
them,
not expecting if anybody said recently at all on that.
Yeah,
Yeah, we don't have
I mean,
very.
everybody has different perspectives.
I think
do
more
that.
often they like when if they have summary fines and costs, they like that the person's working, because then they have an opportunity to regain some of those fines
Yeah,
and costs, so I think it's,
practical. Yeah.
I think it's a more
So
practical
maybe that's something we
consideration.
can put on new business sometimes about maybe moving that included to we'll take a review of it and from a court perspective, as opposed to reach out to magistrate, just reach out to court administration. Okay.
Yes,
So
sir.
we have a consistent answer.
Works for me.
Cool, thank you.
Mental health snapshot of February 28th of our total population of 196. Of course, we covered all the meetings of the codes last month. So we had 36 individuals rated at code A. Code B was 30. Code C was 91. And code D was 17. We have 22 individuals awaiting placement. And I have a little asterisk there with a note that some of these 22 individuals refuse to meet with mental health. So mental health can't place them on a status. So you're probably always going to see a number down there that aren't placed yet. And we've had a long discussion last month at our meeting, and mental health just can't give them a number or a rating without meeting with them. So we're always going to have some people in the waiting process. During the month, the mental health clinician seen 272 individuals, psychiatrists 34. Mental health individuals on psych meds for the entire month of February was 75. The co-occurring disorders means mental illness and drug addiction. February, we had a total of 30 out of 85 intakes, or approximately 35% had a co-occurring disorder. 24 of those were from Center County, 6 from Tennant County. Only 12 of those individuals were medication compliant upon intake. For the month of February, we had a total of 20 suicide watches. We had 5 on suicide watch / detox, and our detox totals for the month were 28. This is a breakdown of the substance by detox. We had 3 on heroin or opiates. This month we had 1 on benzodiazepine. Meth is up. We had a total of 9. Alcohol 3, Suboxone 3, and multiple addictions 9. Prime care report for the COVID testing for the month of February. They administered 249 tests, 15 positives. 234 negatives. And again, testing continues for all new commitments and prior to being released from quarantine status. And of course, anyone who presents with symptoms or exposures is tested. Continue to offer the monthly vaccine clinic, partner with Prime Care and Bollesburg Apothecary to offer vaccinations. And for the month of February, our clinic produced 11 new vaccines. Total individuals seen by the physician or a PA for the month were 93, and we transported 15 individuals to outside physicians. Compass and Decision Point program. For the month, we had 18 males in Compass and 9 females in the program. 2 individuals graduated throughout the month. Decision Point program, which we covered last month, we had 5 males participating in that, and we also had 4 graduations. This time, we do not have anybody in the female group. Our central booking numbers for the month of February, 290 individuals were booked in. As you can see, up from 170 from a year ago. 35 on 11 to 7, 101 on 7 to 3 shift, and 154 on the 3 to 11 shift. We wanted to introduce you to our newest team member. This is in our food service department. We purchased a heated and cooled cart. The left side of this cart, as you can see, has the inside has a heating unit there, which you can see in the back, which allows the food to remain hot from plating until it's served in the housing units. The right side is a cooled cart, cooled side to keep items that don't need to be warmed, keeps them cool. We purchased one of these to do a test run on it throughout the facility. We spent some time on the housing units during the meal service, and the inmates raved about how much better the food was because it was hotter compared to our old way of serving. So, and we also had some insight that at some point these are going to be required for all county correctional facilities. So we're ahead of the curve on that one, and we do have 5 more ordered. So, because we purchased one because we wanted to make sure it was going to work and do what we wanted to do, and instead of, these are about $10,000 a piece. So, so we didn't want to buy 5 and say, oh no, this failed. We just wasted $50,000. So we thought we'll buy one, get all the kinks worked out, make sure it's working properly, purchase the additional one. So we'll have.
That's a good idea.
Well, what used to happen is they would plate everything in an insulated serving tray and then escorted down to the housing units. We only feed 1 tier at a time. So if you're on the tier that's eating second, your meal could be sitting there for 20 minutes or so until you get it. Even though they're supposedly insulated trays, it's going to lose some temperature. So the inmates on the housing unit that we used as our test subject just raved about this, and I believe Mr. Miller had some comments from individuals he met with. So.
As a military, if you don't want time before you're down range, have a lot of.
Yeah. my daughter has
Several
told
meals,
me.
I'll say.
Yeah. This just shows the new trays that come with the carts. These trays are interchangeable, so depending on what, if the food service department needs more items for the hot side, they'll use the bigger tray on the right. If they need less, they'll use the little tray on the left. Some meals inmates get both trays depending on what's on the menu for the day. Moving on to our tablets, we made some new additions to the current tablet system. Last month, we added 8 wellness programs from the National Institute of Health. These range from personal well-being, mental health, to fitness programs. We added 101 religious texts from various religions such as Jehovah's Witness, Buddhist, Jewish, Muslim, Hindu, Orthodox, Latter-day Saints, Catholics, and
Protestant.
I meant to type Protestant, but protest appeared there. I'm looking, I'm like, wait. And I did look at this 3 or 4 times before today. Yeah, that's supposed to say Protestant. All of these programs are free within the tablet system, so we've greatly expanded that. Also added some new additions that are fee-based programs. We now have electronic greeting cards that can be sent both to and from individuals. So if an individual is incarcerated, wants to send a greeting card out to anyone that they're in communication with, they can do that on the tablet system, and there's a small fee for that. Video messaging. This is similar to our current video visitation. Family and friends can now record a video message that can be sent into the individual to view. Outgoing messages are not permitted for security reasons, but if you want to record a message to your loved one or family in here, you can record that and send it through the tablet system, and they can watch that.
I have one question. The third of message, the reference domestic violence. Contacting the victim.
If it's court ordered by the court, yes.
Or
Yes.
they have a PFA against.
They have a PFA, it's restricted.
But they can still contact them, but they just not to.
So they're told not to, and we do monitor those. Our record specialist sends out an email to the lieutenants and to us. We have had occasions where inmates have been disciplined for violating the PFA, and we have one recently that's probably going to result in new charges. The DA got involved in on it. So.
Yeah, blocks on both the phones and the tablets are individual. So if it's Glenn and I, Glenn's incarcerated, there's a PFA, we can block Melanie Gordon from this number at contacting. But if I go out and make a fake number, then, you know, through the security checks, somebody has to basically catch up
I
to
know it's
it.
an easy
So.
way to get.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are ways around it, but what we do is when we get that notification, record specialist Kelly Allen will send out, we'll say, and she has access to get on and double check those lists. So she'll say, hey, everybody, I blocked Melanie Gordon's contact because there's a PFA with Glenn Irwin, and that way if anybody sees that number coming through, we can try to proactively stop new accounts. But our lieutenants doing monitoring often catch those third, workarounds that we're trying to prevent. So we do make a number of criminal referrals. Small handful each year, probably over to agencies.
That concludes our facility reports.
Old business.
Old business. We had our PREA audit conducted this week, Monday through Wednesday. During the PREA audit, 45 PREA standards are reviewed for compliance. Within those 45 standards are a total of 235 subsections. The auditor discovered one area in a subsection that we have to take corrective action on. This is regarding the inmates viewing the PREA video. We moved the PREA video to our tablet system during COVID, especially because we couldn't have people together in groups to watch the video. But the inmates were able to skip through the video and just hit confirm that they watched it all. So we're working with our tablet vendor to correct that on their end. The auditor was like, I just have to report this as a corrective action plan. We discussed our action plan to fix this. The auditor was pleased with it. He's going to do another site visit probably within 90 days to review the status, and his final report will be done within 180 days. Overall, Mr. Zappoli, the PREA auditor, had high praise for our facility and the culture that we have established. He spoke to numerous inmates, numerous staff throughout his 3 days here. He didn't have anyone tell him they didn't feel comfortable that they could report anything to any staff. We had a situation when he was interviewing one individual. This individual makes a habit of filing PREA complaints. The individual actually accused the auditor of doing a nefarious act to him right there in the room. So the auditor was like a little surprised by it, I think. But we made him report it because we're required that anybody receives that. So he actually had to type a report for us. But he was really pleased with our facility. He told us of all the facilities he audits in Pennsylvania since COVID that every jail he's been to has had some sort of corrective action plan. Some jails are up in the teens and 20s going, and he actually failed one facility. So we felt pretty good coming out of this with just one corrective action plan, and we have the plan in place, and we moved to fix that little blip on the radar. That's all the old business I had, sir.
All right, moving on to new business, policy discussion.
Yes, the facility would like to discuss removing the vaccination requirement for outside work.
Vaccination requirement process.
Second that motion. All of those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? All right.
Okay, great.
We will move on to recognition of service for Kathy Brown.
Yep. As everyone knows, Kathy Brown was the director of Centerpiece. from September of 19 to January of 2023. Kathy has recently stepped down from that position. We wanted to recognize Kathy for her commitment to the individuals, the returning citizens of Center County. Kathy done a great job when she took over at Centerpiece as far as cooperation with us as the facility. Anything we ever needed from her, we always had the open phone communications, open door policy. Kathy is a great individual to work with. And I asked Ms. Squires from Centerpiece, who's the current director, if she would be willing to speak a little bit more on Kathy because she knows her more personally than we do. So, Squires.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to speak and honor Kathy today. When in 2019, when Centerpiece discovered that they had to replace Tom Brewster, the board was very lucky that Kathy was already serving on the board of directors, and she was able to step in, and she was the interim director for 3 months, and then she was named into the permanent position. She was immediately had some challenges because some of the key employees were retiring, so not only was she stepping in to fill the role of director, but she immediately had to fill some positions. When Tom passed away, she wanted to find a way to honor him that also would benefit long-term the returning citizens of Center County, and she created something called the Tom Brewster Reentry Fund. The Tom Brewster Reentry Fund allows us at Centerpiece to give help to individuals that are newly released. We have provided gas cards for individuals that need transportation. We've helped them get their photo IDs from the state. We've helped them get their birth certificates. Recently, we had a young man that's got a job, and their water heater went out, so he wasn't able to shower, he wasn't able to wash his clothes, so we helped him get a water heater. So we are at a place where we can help individuals like that, where most agencies help them. And that's a credit to Kathy that she looked to see that there are some loopholes where people can't get help. Then we faced the pandemic, and it was Kathy's goal to make sure that Centerpiece stayed up and running the entire time, so that when the trainees did come back, that we were ready for them. And in 2020 and 21, we missed them for a total of 269 days. So it was hard at times without them, because they're the reason that we're there. And so we just kept going forward, and Kathy kept saying, we just got to keep going, because when they come back, we've got to be ready for them. Kathy has some plans in the work for long-term that we are happy to continue working on. We announced, we make sure that you guys are aware of them. But I personally thank Kathy. I was one of the first hires Kathy made. And I personally thank Kathy for making me part of the Centerpiece family, because I found a passion that I didn't know I had, and that is helping, returning citizens and helping them find a place. And I wouldn't have found that without Kathy.
Yeah. I don't know if Kathy, were you able to join us this morning? Yeah, I spoke to her husband yesterday, Jeff, and tried to make it happen, but he wasn't sure. So as you can see, a picture of the plaque that we have for Kathy, the certificate. Barbara has agreed to deliver it to Kathy, since she's here more often than we do. Again, we just want to thank Kathy for everything that she's done. Great individual, and wish her all the best. So.
Thank you. All right.
That's all the new business I had, sir.
We'll move on to monthly reports, criminal justice planning.
Carrie?
Yes, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Just wanted to update you on Center County's drug overdose deaths for 2022. So 2022, we had 16 drug overdose deaths, up slightly from the previous year, 14. But I will note 15 were ruled accidental, 1 was deemed suicide, 7 involved fentanyl, 7 involved methamphetamines, and 3 involved xylazine, which is a tranquilizer, an animal tranquilizer. Majority of our drug overdose deaths are going to be a multi-drug overdose, but I did want to highlight those specific substances based on what the correctional facility is reporting as far as detox, and what what substances people are using in the community. So I just wanted to make mention of that. We are working with the University of Pittsburgh for our annual yearly look back report that involves not only drug overdose deaths, but 911 data, treatment data, naloxone data, a host of different points that we put together every year. So we're working on that for next month. That's all I have.
All right, thank you. Move on to Prison Society.
I'll make a report today. I usually prepare what I want to say. Didn't think I had to, but now I found myself looking for words. At our last Prison Society meeting, Janet Irons changed her leadership role. She's no longer like co-convener. It's been a decade. 10 years ago, they asked us both to take that position, and I wouldn't have taken it without her. We've done most of the heavy lifting the last several years because of my work with Go Reentry. So we're looking for someone to fill her role, but she's an amazing lady. She's done amazing work. The Prison Society's changed dramatically in the last 10 years. I think we only see a small part of it, so we're responsible for like 4,500 inmates and their families. We have people busy at Rockview and Benner Township, like real busy, like they're weekly, sometimes daily, taking care of things. And then we have a team here working the Center County thing. And Janet kind of like held all that together, and she put together our meeting agendas and things like that. So we're sad to see her. I'm sad to see her step down from that leadership position, and as a group, we're sorry too. But she's still going to stay active. She's going to coordinate all our efforts at SCI Benner Township. So for the next couple months, things are going to be up in the air, but we'll have somebody hopefully to take her place soon. Yeah, thank you.
My interaction with Janet, my first time, certainly just an incredible advocate for the Prison Society. And
thank you.
All right, Centerpiece.
Oh, things are going well at Centerpiece. In the month of February, we had 7. Our numbers just kind of fluctuate, some, different things. In the middle of January, we began teaching classes on Monday afternoons. We're doing the Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective with them. It has been very successful in that even when citizens have been returning to the community, they've asked if they can come back on Monday to continue the classes. Vanessa told me yesterday that one individual that's going out on work release starting this week has Mondays off, even though he's going on work release, and asked permission to come on Monday's class. I think that speaks highly of what they feel like they're getting. In addition, when they asked, when we've gotten feedback on the class, some said, they wish they had copies of the book. So Centerpiece has purchased copies of the book and have donated them to the facility here. And I believe that we're going to be getting some more so that there's at least one on each block. So we are pretty excited about that. And the trainees have been working very diligently in our work refinish area. One of our guys, we gave him a task that was really kind of an impossible task. We had an old Victrola that nobody knew how to fix, and he said he would take a crack at it, and he fixed it. So, that gave him some confidence in himself. So we like being able to do that with them, teaching them skills and helping them to realize that there are some things that they can do positive.
Thank you. All right, that takes us to any announcements?
I don't have any, sir.
All right, motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, we're adjourned. Next meeting is April 13th, 8 a.m.
Sorry.
Oh, yeah. This is one of my,